This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett, and we're in Vancouver, and we are going to bike the downtown waterfront area, and we'll go past some of the big boats and the big ships, and we'll go right over to the Canada Place and the cruise ship terminal. So come along, let's ride. After we bicycled around Stanley Park here, we then took our bikes and rode along the waterfront, Vancouver Harbour, and saw the seaplanes and the boats there, and bicycled right over here as far as the cruise ship terminal. Just before we bike the waterfront, I'd like to tell you about biking across the Lions Gate Bridge. We stayed in a campground just on the far side of the bridge. And biking across that thing was kind of a scary operation. This is looking headlong into the bridge. As you can see, it's 3 lanes of traffic, and they switch that middle lane depending on the rush hour, morning or evening. And the Lions Gate Bridge was named after a couple of peaks to the north there. And those are the lion statues at one end of the bridge. The bridge was built in the late 1930s. Traffic to ferry people in boats across Burrard Inlet just got too busy. And they wanted to develop the West Vancouver area. There was an accident or two, and finally the Guinness family of liquor brewing fame put up the first money to build the bridge. A toll fee to cross the bridge was charged, but it was removed when the provincial government took over responsibility for the bridge. Riding a bike across that giant bridge was a challenging, fearful thrill for a fellow like me. That is Stanley Park down below us on the right-hand side. Meeting and passing people walking or jogging was no problem. But in these areas where the bridge structure came down was a little rough and uneven, so you had to pay attention to your balance. Everybody biked on the right-hand side of the bridge, so you did not meet any oncoming bike or skateboard traffic. However, everybody passes the turtle, and you had bikes and skateboards coming up behind you, wanting to pass. And they did, but as you can see, there is not a lot of room between the end of your handlebars and the green railing, or between you and the person who would be passing you. A little bit of a mistake, and you could have a major quick accident. We were coming up to the bridge and heading home. Like I was saying earlier, our campground was on the other side of the bridge, below the bridge. And so we just had to make a little bit of a bend in the trail here, and we were coming up onto the Lions Gate Bridge for another scary ride across the bridge. It wasn't too scary, actually, but you just had to pay attention to it. Now here we are, we've come over on the right-hand side at the top part of the picture and made a sharp U-turn and came down this pathway under the bridge. I should have got photos of us making that sharp turn, but I was in survival mode and just wasn't thinking about pictures at that moment. So this is my wife now ahead of me. We walked our bikes under here. A lot of people rode them, but we were cautious a little bit, and so we made it under the bridge. That street we're going under is the street that goes north over the Lions Gate Bridge. But we're crossing the street, but underneath it. And there's a new way of travel that we haven't seen before on this trip, rollerblades. While we're biking along, did you know Vancouver was named after the English ship captain George Vancouver? And he sailed along the coast in the 1790s. He very accurately mapped and charted much of the Pacific coast with its many islands, peninsulas, bays, and rivers. However, he missed the two biggest rivers that flow into the Pacific. He made no record of the Columbia River that flows into the Pacific at the modern day border between the U.S. States of Washington and Oregon. He also missed the Fraser River in the current area of the city of Vancouver today. Whoa, we are interrupted. We have to stop here. Pedestrian crossing. The new pedestrians have the right of way, and bikes and walkers must stop and I guess let the wildlife flow across the pathway. You often see these Canada geese around. Okay, the coast is clear. I'll just finish this story about George Vancouver. His accurate explorations did, however, finalize the hope and myth that somewhere there existed a Northwest Passage in which ships could sail across the Atlantic, across the North American land continent, and onto the Pacific and Asia. Vancouver, in his mapping of the Pacific coast, proved that such a thing as a mythical Northwest Passage did not exist. You can hear the sound of these wider bike tires. They make a little more noise on the asphalt trail. Most bikes were e-bikes, but there were some other regular bikes, non-e-bikes as well. Everybody biked a reasonable speed. There was no racing at all, and people were careful and polite. This was not too crowded just right here, but we did run into some very crowded times in which there was wheel after wheel. There was a few tandem bikes like this one here. There were times that the bike trail was very busy. There were just waves of bikers coming, and it seemed like we had to wait for 5 or 10 minutes before we could even get back on the trail again. Same as we noticed in the Stanley Park when we biked there. There was a lane for bicyclers that we were on and a lane for walkers. And you can see the walkers, they get near the shoreline, and it made a nice system. There was a lot of private vessels, like you see here, parked in different places along the harbor. I'm sure it would be quite expensive to moor your boat at a place like this. And the road it curved for some ways, and it was just a nice bike riding. Even the little ones were out for a ride. Colorful flowers like these were in bloom everywhere. I just took them for granted and didn't take enough photos of them. Now we are making the bend, and I know where we're at now. We are biking toward Canada Place and the cruise ship port. And it'll take us a little while to get there, but it's all nice leisure bike riding on a nice dedicated bike path. And those are hotels adjacent to the downtown area of Vancouver. A lot of leisure boats, recreation boats in the harbor, in Vancouver Harbour on the left there. And again, there's a walkway, a pathway for walkers, and another pathway for bicyclers. and it's not crowded now, so you don't have to be really strict on the rules. But basically, as it gets more crowded, people follow the regulations, and it makes for a happy place for everybody. The Vancouver Harbour area is a well-to-do section of the city. There's a boat out in the harbor, a little airplane there. We'll see more of those, and they are taking off and landing with their pontoons quite frequently. It is one of the busiest areas in Canada and maybe in North America. These float planes fly all over the place. They fly over to Vancouver Island and up and down the coast. And why not? It's a mountain country. It's hard to go by road all the time. And the water space is very large here. I thought it was maybe crowded and planes might be coming into near contact, but not true at all. There's lots of ample room. Let's just watch this aircraft taking off and landing. I don't know how often they would take off and land. Every half hour, 15 minutes at times. It would vary a great deal. They all have pontoons because this is not just mountain country, this is water country. These planes are landing and taking off right in front of Canada Place, right in the main part of the Vancouver Harbour. The planes have lots of room to take off and land. Across the harbour seemed to be a industrial area of North Vancouver. We were able to bike all along Vancouver Harbour. Bike riders in one lane area and walkers in another. It was well set out. A nice, pleasant day. Made you feel like you were on a holiday. Look at those big skyscrapers in the background. We were very close to the central part of downtown Vancouver. There was a lot of private, smaller yachts and boats in the harbor area here. It's getting a little more populated with tourists as we approach the cruise ship terminals. We were able to bike right down to where the cruise ships were parked. We rode by big shopping stores for cruise passengers, eating places, and hotels. There wasn't a lot of people in the area. I guess most of them were still on the ship. I think some ships were getting ready to pull out of town and probably continue on their way north to Alaska or south down the Pacific coast of the U.S. It made it nice for bike riding. We also grabbed a bite to eat in this area. We are at the Canada Place terminal. It was built especially for cruise ships. Besides, as a cruise ship terminal, the building serves as a convention center, a hotel, and a global trade business center. It also houses the Port Authority offices, and you can see animated videos from across Canada. If you look on the right, you can just make out the tops of the white sails above Canada Place. The 5 sails represent BC's maritime roots, its connection to the sea. They were built in 1986 and have become really quite a recognizable landmark of Vancouver. There were several historic plaques along the walkway, and I took a photo of one just to show you an example of the historic facts or plaques that they had. It was very interesting. Let's quickly read about the silk trains on the plaque. Throughout the early 20th century, Vancouver was known as the Silk Port of North America. Ships left Japan on the Canadian Pacific Railway, fastest liners. And silk was the ultimate luxury fabric in furious demand. Silk deteriorated fast, markets fluctuated widely, insurance was sold by the hour. A train load was worth a lot of money. The speed was legendary. The silk trains passed a station and people stood back, not to be sucked under the wheels. And there you have it, another little piece of little-known Canadian history. These ships ply the waters between California and Alaska, and some stop in here in Vancouver, others stop at Victoria and Prince Rupert. This port here can handle 4 cruise ships at one time. That is when it gets crowded, but it could stand to be even more crowded. The port can handle more cruise ships. Canada is in a position to negotiate an increased cruise ship season since ships bound for Alaska sail within the protected waters of Canada's Inland Passage. And that's a look at the waterfront, downtown Vancouver. It's a very tourist-oriented place, a clean place, and a safe place. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And that'll tell you when we're putting more videos on the internet. And I've made several videos of this Vancouver area. If you want to find them, just Google my address on the card here. You don't need to Google the little @ sign. Just Google my name, Don Barnett 5090, and then click on my name and then hit the word playlists in the middle of the page. And each playlist, if you scroll down, each playlist contains several travel videos.